Today we're into Modern to play a deck that's so big brain that it can easily win on turn 2, but also can't cast a single spell unless it has Leyline of the Guildpact on the battlefield. Can this wild pile actually work? That's what we're going to find out. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. So here is the biggest brain Infect deck that I'm pretty sure anyone has ever tried to build for Modern. And I gotta say, normally when I do a video, I record the gameplay, and then at the end, I'll do the deck tech and I'll do the wrap up. But this time we're doing the deck tech first. I have not played a game with this deck because I want to give my completely unbiased opinion without having it tainted by actually playing some games with this deck. And then we'll see if there's any chance that this deck can actually win a game. It is going to be interesting. So why is this deck so weird? So on one hand, it's an Infect deck. We got Blighted Agent, we got Glistener Elf, we have Honorary Infect Creature, Cacophony Scamp, we got a bunch of pump spells, Gaia's Might, Might of Alara, Might of Old Croza, Blessing and Nephilim, some weird Infect stuff, but still, plain Infect creature, throw some pump spells at it, your opponent dies on turn 2 or turn 3. That's the normal Infect strategy. Why is this deck so big brain though? Well, if you notice, our mana base is completely colorless. That's right, our lands can literally not cast a single, well, I guess it can cast Serum Powder, but a single spell outside of Serum Powder in our entire deck. So what this means is we are all in on Leyline of the Guildpact. Leyline of the Guildpact, the new Murders of Karlov Manor Leyline. If we have it in our opening hand, which we literally must, we have to mulligan 2-1 to have Leyline in our opening hand, or else we literally cannot cast a spell, just to make that super clear. But if we do have Leyline, all of our lands tap for every color, they're all land type, and all of our permanents are all colors. So the idea of this deck is we mulligan until we find Leyline, because if we don't find Leyline, we literally don't get to play Magic. We have Serum Powder for some free mulligans to help, so we mulligan until we find Leyline. Once we find Leyline, the idea is we can play one of our Infect creatures, and then we have all these domainy pump spells, like Gaia's Might, ends up being +5/+5, because it gives a creature +1/+1 for each basic land type. With Leyline, all of our lands are all basic land types, so +5/+5 for 1 mana. Blessing of the Nephilim gives +1/+1 for each of the enchanted creatures' colors, which, because of Leyline, all of our creatures will be all colors, so +5/+5. Might of Alara is actually literally just Gaia's Might again. Might of Old Croza, not quite as good. Scale up, of course, doesn't really care about the colors. But the idea is, mulligan until we find Leyline, hopefully also have one of our Infect or Honorary Infect creatures, a couple of pump spells, win the game on turn 2, turn 3 at the latest with Blighted Agent. If it goes right, we will be rewarded with some of the fastest possible kills in Modern. If it goes wrong and we don't have Leyline, or Leyline gets blown up or countered or something, I guess not countered because it just starts on the battlefield, but if it gets blown up or otherwise goes wrong, we literally can't play Magic. Like, we scoop. If we don't have a Leyline, we scoop because we cannot cast a spell. So we're gonna jump into a Modern League and see, is it possible that this pile even wins a game? Is this like the mind-blowingly big brain format-breaking brew with Leyline of the Guildpact? Or is this just a ridiculously risky pile that is unlikely to win a single game? The good news is, our games are going to be super short, right? Like, the games are going to be over by turn 2 or turn 3, I think, because we're either going to have Leyline or we're not going to have Leyline. So we're going to jump into a Modern League, and we're going to see. I would like your prediction. My prediction is, I don't know if we win a match with this one. I'm hoping that I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm very scared. I think hopefully we get a good kill or two with the deck, but I'm really scared that things are going to go wrong. And when it goes wrong with this deck, it is going to go hilariously wrong because we can't even cast our spells if we don't have Leyline. So I don't know. Let's see if we can do some high rolling with this deck. It is going to be super interesting. I don't know if it's actually necessary to play all colorless lands. There could be a build of this that gave up some of the power of its colorless lands to actually be able to cast its spells. I mean, the upside of the all colorless mana base is our lands do things, right? Like Escape Tunnel can make one of our Infect creatures unblockable. Urza Saga, the mighty Urza Saga, can tutor up Cliff Haven Kite Sail or Civic Saber, I guess, as additional pump spells and evasion. We get a bunch of scrying to, I guess, find our Infect creatures, and the Grey Haven's even more scrying. So it's going to be interesting, but anyway, let's see if our match, yeah, it's starting. So, well, step 1, can we have a Leyline? No, we must mulligan. Step 2, Leyline? No, mulligan. Mulligan simulator. It's a mulligan simulator. So if we find a serum powder, that is a free mulligan. So that does increase our odds of finding the Leyline. The problem is just Leyline doesn't win us the game, right? We need Leyline and we need an infect creature and preferably 2 pump spells. So if we do end up mulliganing to like 1, the odds of us winning are still going to be really low, even if that 1 has a Leyline in it. But that's the risk for the mighty big brain power of this deck. Sometimes you're not going to find Leyline. Although I think the math with 4 serum powders is actually pretty heavily in favor of it if you're willing to like just keep mulliganing until you find it. Oh God, is this going wrong right from game 1? Okay, mulligan to 4. There's a serum powder. Yeah, let's serum powder away this hand. Wait, 3 cards have to go to the bottom first? All right, let's put our infect creatures to the bottom. Well, there we go. We have found a Leyline. Unfortunately, we have no lands, so it doesn't do anything. But we found the Leyline. Ooh, who came up with this deck? Who came up with this deck? Oh, Urza Saga. All right, that's a land. It is going to sacrifice itself here shortly, but let's use our mighty 5-color Urza Saga to play a Cacophony Scamp. Please don't blow up our Leyline or we scoop. It is worth mentioning, if Leyline blows up, we do concede the game. There's no way we can actually win if it gets blown up. Oh, God. Oh, I think we're just, like, hard locked out of this game now. Well... Okay. This is about how... Oh, there's a serum powder. I'm glad we're drawing that in our infect deck. And next turn, we get to sack our 1 land to get a an equipment that gives flying, I think. I mean, I love Big Brain Brewing, but sometimes Big Brain Brewing can go a little too far, and this might be one of those cases. I mean, it's only game 1. Can we draw anything? Come on. It's got to be at least a land. The thing is, we can't... I mean, actually, I think we kind of scoop because... this Wren snipes every creature in our deck. So we need to be able to play a creature and leave up a pump spell. But if we play a pump spell, we're not going to have a pump spell for next turn. I mean, I guess we'll see if we draw a land here. If we don't draw a land here, we will just concede. We're essentially just hard locked under this Wren. This deck, it's either going to like win on turn 2 or turn 3, or it's not going to win. There's no middle ground with this deck. So my question is, do you think we'll win a match with this deck in our league? I think that like we should be able to win a game, right? Like it's got to all come together once because the nut draw is like legitimately ridiculous. So there will be a game sooner or later where we just actually have the nuts and just like steamroll for the turn 2 win. Like that should happen eventually. The question is how many of these games where we mulled a 4 into a 0-lander with a Leyline, should we have mulled a 3? To try to have late, I don't think we can mull. Like, I think we have to keep that 4 with the Leyline. Opponent. Why do we got the upkeep stop set opponent? We're actually about to just concede this game. If you let us draw a card, we will most likely be conceding, but you need to click that 1 button. You can do it, opponent. You can click that 1 button. All right, Blessing of the Nephilim. And since we're sacking our only land and there's a Wren, that means we need to draw like 2 or 3 lands and 2 or 3 pump spells. We're just gonna concede here. There's no way we can draw it before we die. All right, well, we're gonna be on the play, which means we don't want Gemstone Caverns. We don't need Leyline. I mean, I guess we could bring in like Surge of Salvation for some more protection. All right, let's go down Might of Volcrosa. Maybe like 1 Blessing of the Nephilim. Let's just go Tameo Safekeeping. That's fine. Little more protection. Run it like that. All right, so hopefully we find the Leyline a little faster with more cards in hand. That's a lot of infect creatures. I mean, we're gonna Serum Powder. We don't have a Leyline, so we must. This hand still does not have a Leyline. Okay. All right. We got a Leyline. We gotta keep it, right? We gotta keep it. Serum Powder to the bottom. We start with the Leyline. We really need this Scamp to live for a turn. If it lives for a turn, so if Scamp lives and we draw land, we can just win next turn. If it dies, we're gonna be sad. So if we draw land, we win. If we don't draw land, do we just leave up Face Shield? We could put Blessing and Nephilim on the Scamp just to get in some damages. We're getting ahead of ourselves because it might not even live. Oh, tap land. Okay, land. Can we actually do the turn 2 Leyline Big Brain Infect kill? Oh, so close. We needed 1 more land and we'd have the full combo kill. So I want to put a Blessing on it. The problem is that doesn't protect it from all the removal. It protects it from Ren. The other option is just leave up Face Shield and try again to draw land next turn. All right, we're gonna get in for one and leave up the Face Shield. We hope our opponent's on like the Ren draw. The other problem here is if our opponent plays blockers, it makes this a lot worse. At least our Ink Moth is a Swamp Island Forest Mountain Plains and our Scamp is all colors. Opponent, after all this work and serum powdering, would you like to take one? No, we will not sack our only creature. Go. Well, we got him to 19. First Blood has been drawn. Stomping Grounds untapped. There's the red. Well, okay. Opponent's going to try to ping it. We will Face Shield it. Okay, so same thing. If we draw a land, we win the game. If we don't draw a land, we're sad. Come on, deck. One time. Ha-ha! Urza Saga, we did it. We did it, we did it. The big brain is paying off on the Scamp. And then we will put another Blessing in the Nephilim on the Scamp. Make it a casual 11/11. Hit you. Yes! Okay. Yeah, sure, you can have a counter on your Ren. That's fine. We have seen that it's possible. We have seen that it's possible. With the right draw, it is possible. All right, Gemstone Caverns coming in. Get that fast mana here on turn 1. Actually, why do we even want Gemstone Caverns in this deck? It's not like we have a haste creature. I guess it lets us like play a creature and protect it. Well, trim you. Escape Tunnel with no fetchable lands is the funniest. Oh my god, this deck. Yeah, here we go. Game 3. Let's just do that again. Do we have a Leyline? We do have Gemstone Caverns. Is there any argument for keeping this? We don't have any pump. Yeah, let's just serum powder. Scamp, scale up. Yeah, we gotta get a Leyline, right? There's no Leylines here. We can cast the Cliffhaven Kite Sail. Modern staple Cliffhaven Kite Sail. But it doesn't take that many cards to win the game if we have the right draw. Yeah, I wonder if after sideboarding with the Gemstone Caverns, is it possible that we could keep a hand without Leyline? Still seems very risky. Oh no. Well, we will serum powder this one, but we will put you to the bottom. No god. Serum powder away that one. We did it! That's a Leyline! Unfortunately, we don't have a creature or anything. We have an Ink Moth, I guess, which could be a creature eventually. The thing is, like, if we got a mulligan of 4 to find Leyline, I feel like we still lose. That might be one of the issues with this big brain brew. Because if you think about it, what do we need to win the game on turn 2? Leyline, Infect creature, or honorary Infect creature, 2 pump spells, 2 lands. That's 6 cards. Of course, we don't have to win on turn 2, so we could like draw the second land and win on turn 3 or something, but that is a lot of cards to actually like literally win the game. Like this game, we found the Leyline, right? We have the 2 pump spells, we have a land, so we really need an Infect creature and arguably another land to have a shot to win the game. There could be a way of doing it with Ink Moth. It's not 100% impossible. Also, Ren. Ugh, all right. I mean, we got to do it and just hope they don't have the Ren. It's not like we can not play the Glistener Elf. Gold border, Glistener Elf. Do we not have Ren for once? That'd be sweet. All right, opponent passes. Land. All right, Gemstone Caverns. Takes the beats. Maybe we should have went for it. Maybe it would have been better just to go for it there. I guess you can't really play this deck afraid, right? You just gotta do it and hope for the best. Our opponent having mana up in this deck that has a lot of removals, definitely frightening. Opponent has a Ren. Well, we will Gaia's Might. And they spell Pierce. Ugh. Well, I mean, that means we wouldn't have been able to win the last turn anyway. Well, let's fire up the Ink Moth. Oh, I bet I'm getting yelled at in the comments for not going for it. Too conservative? Probably too conservative. To Fairy Time Raffler. And game. Well, okay, so the lesson from this is every single time for the rest of this league, we're going for it. Opponent has mana up, opponent has removal. There's so many ways that we can get blown out. I think we have to play this deck 100% fearless. I don't think there's any... I think it was wrong, now that I think about it more, I think it was wrong to not just go for the turn 2 kill. So for the rest of this league, anytime we get a chance to go for it, even if the odds look bad, even if our opponent has mana up, we're just going to go for it because we saw there, like, the risk of not going for it is our opponent deals with the Leyline and then the game ends. So can we someday get a 7 with a Leyline? Why can we never find a Leyline when we actually have a meaningful number of cards in hand. I feel like we're kind of low rolling with this deck a little bit so far. Like every time we've had to mulligan to like such a low number to find the Leyline. I mean, this could be a turn 2 kill hand. Face Shield. Oh, this can't even be a turn 2 kill hand, can it? Might of Alara. Gaia's Might. Yeah, see, we're down to 4 again. We're down to 4. And 4 means we don't have the number of cards necessary to attempt to win next turn. We'll keep the Gaia's Might. We'll play the Scamp. If the Scamp dies, I think we die too. Scalding Tard passes. Yeah, I mean, we said we gotta go for it, right? The rest of the league, there is no fear. We're going for it every time. Blessing and Nephilim. How do you like us now? We will not sack it. Well, if we had one more land, it would have actually... okay, so I'm realizing with this deck, we need to hit the Leyline when we have at least 5 cards in hand. If we don't have at least 5 cards in hand, it's probably not going to be enough to do what we want it to do. Island for our opponent. I mean, if somehow this Scamp lives... Oh, Trox in the graveyard. If somehow this Scamp lives, and we get to resolve this Gaia's Might attack, we do win next turn. Opponent, Sacred Foundry, tapped. Well, I mean, no fear, no fear. Those are the rules. Those are our rules. There's no fear with this deck. Opponent, well, do you have a counter? We are going to Gaia's Might. Hold. Oh, we did it. We did it. Okay, playing Fearless paid off. Well, Gemstone Caverns comes in. I mean, so we're winning some games with this deck. It's going better than I thought, honestly. I expected it to be... I mean, that's 2 game wins. We haven't got a match win, but it could still happen. So we bring in the Gemstone Caverns. Do we want more? We didn't really see much of what our opponent's doing. All right, let's go 2 safekeepings. Down 1 Might of Old Krosa. Actually, no, let's go 1 safekeeping. Run it like that. I still don't know what our opponent's doing. We didn't get much of a sense of it. All right, how about Leyline in the opening hand? For once, can we start with 7 cards? No. I mean, we do have Infect Creature. Yeah, I mean, we got a mulligan. Well, we get to Serum Powder mulligan. We'll put our Glistener Elf to the bottom. We will Serum Powder mulligan. All right, there's a Leyline. We'll keep it. 2 Leylines, actually. All right, well, Leyline and also Leyline. Man, imagine if we had Devotion to Green and Nick those going or something. 8 green pips on the battlefield on turn 0. Steam Vents for our opponent. Engineered Explosives on 1. That's a little bit problematic. Well, let's Inkmoth Nexus and run out the Glistener Elf. At least we have a Blighted Agent, which is a 2. Still, our opponents is it. They gotta have bolts and such, right? They got to. Pass in. Wow. Well, okay, so I know we promised we'd always go for it. There's literally an Engineered Explosives on the battlefield, though. So this is the case where we actually can't go for it because we literally see the removal staring at our face. So I think we just have to go to combat, attack for 1 Infect. See if our opponent blows the EE. Hallowed Fountain. Untap down to 15. And there's the explosives. Okay, well, if this Blighted Agent sticks and our opponent doesn't have interaction, we got a shot still. Passes. Cliffhaven Kite Sail. Well, no fear. Those were the promises. Blessing of the Nephilim. Opponent. Aw. Consider, okay. We're actually kind of hoping they have a bolt, because then we can Gaia's Might in response. They mill a Narset. I feel like it's Fire Ice, and they're trying to decide, do I try to kill it or do I tap it? Because if I try to kill it and they have a pump spell, it's really bad. I die. But if I don't get this off the battlefield, it's going to be here next turn. My guess is that's what's going on right now. We'll see. We'll see what our opponent casts, but I'm guessing it's Fire Ice and our opponent is mathing out whether they tap it or try to kill it. We're hoping they try to kill it, because if they do, we should win with this Gaia's Might. If they tap it, then I guess we run it back next turn and hope for the best. Is it Charm? That's fine. Gaia's Might. Oh my God, did we win? Did we just do it? Ah! The big brain brew pays off. A little conversation with our very nice opponent. They have a spicy brew that they wanted me to see, but unfortunately, the power of Leyline, too much. And I will say the deck has exceeded my expectations. I didn't know if we were going to win a match with it, and we just won a match with it. Okay, maybe, did we break it? Or did whoever came up with this hilarious pile of jank break it? Guess we got to play a couple more rounds and find out. We have proved that it's possible to win a match with this deck. I guess the next challenge is, can we somehow get a winning record with this deck? That would blow my mind. We're going to Serum Powder. We'll put the Glistener Elf to the bottom. Well, we're going to Serum Powder. Leyline. Leyline. This is interesting. I mean, we're going to keep this. The only problem is we don't actually have any pump spells. Do we just run out the Urza Saga? I think we do. Because that's going to get us a pump spell eventually. Actually, do we Void and Scry for a pump spell? So this can get the Civic Saber, which is essentially a pump spell. Yeah, I think we actually just Void. Probably better known as City of Brass that scries. Another Blighted Agent. I think we go bottom. We have 2 creatures. What we're lacking with this hand is pump. Pump. We need pump. Not with a breeding pool. I guess you could dismember, but found it untapped. No fear. Crashing Footfall suspended. Oh god, we're gonna get fire iced, aren't we? Well, Urza Saga. Okay, so no fear. What is the no fear play? That's the rule. No fear. Like, we could just leave up the Gaia's Might. We made rules to this game, and the rules are no fear. Bladed Agent, hit you with the Scamp. They don't have it, right? They don't have fire ice. They don't. Who has fire ice? Not our opponent. No, we're not going to sack that. No fire ice. We're good because we didn't play Afraid, and that determines whether or not our opponent draws the card that they need. I mean, if they can't / don't kill our stuff, we're technically a pump. Oh, untap land. We're technically a pump spell away from winning. All right, opponent passes. Pump spell. How about a pump spell? Might of Old Krosa, except we didn't have a land drop. This is 1. +5 is 6. 7, 8, go to combat, attack. Yeah, Gaia's Might of Old Krosa is kind of sketch in this deck because we don't have many land drops and we have 0 fetch lands. I mean, we gotta just go for it, right? Gaia's Might? Oh, it doesn't actually even work, does it? That means our pump spell is gonna give +0. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we had protection for a lot of things. We did not have a way to protect our... Oh, yeah, Besagia is brutal. Run it back, no fear. Yeah, Might of Old Krosa seems like it's really bad in this deck. Let's bring in the safekeeping. I really don't like Might of Old Krosa. Phase Shield is nice because it can protect a Leyline. That is an upside to it. I don't know about this Urza Saga getting a Kite Sail plan. Oh, we actually get to keep a full hand? All right, yeah, we're gonna keep this. We're not like to the point of winning yet. Actually, if we draw a land, we can win next turn. Well, start with the Leyline. See, this is where I wish we had a Scry land, because if we could... Oh, no. Okay, that's way worse. Opponent's gonna start with mana because of Gemstone Caverns. I honestly think Gemstone Caverns... I think this card's close to getting banned in Modern. There's not many ways to... If they're gonna ban my Dear Simian Spirit Guide, you know they ban anything that gives you plus mana. And Gemstone Caverns does. They pitch a Leyline. Well, Inkmoth Nexus. And how about a Glistener Elf? Go. 5-color Glistener Elf. Found it. Misty Rainforest passes. Can we draw a land? Blessing of the Nephilim. No fear, those are the rules. Put a Blessing of the Nephilim on our Glistener Elf. How do we feel about that, opponent? Resolves. Attack you. All right. Opponent's up to 6, but they have enough mana that they can Rhino. This Gemstone Caverns, yeah, how do we beat Rhinos? That's an issue. You know what? We need that silly kite sail thing to get to the air. We're on such a weird fast clock because if the Leyline dies, we die. So we have this super fast clock where we have to win before they find a removal spell for Leyline. And we know they're playing Leyline Binding, which by its name should be really good at blowing up Leyline of the Guildpact. Binding our Leyline of the Guildpact, so to speak. I guess that's a flavor win. You know what? We can wait. We can wait. We have this Inkmoth. Our pump spells don't do anything. We can't cast spells the rest of the game. Opponent's at 8. Like, we have this Inkmoth. It's not impossible that we draw land and, like, chip in for 2 more Infect with the Inkmoth. Rhinos. It is kind of a problem, right? That our Leyline... Okay, so we have to draw land this turn. If we draw the land this turn, there's some chance we win the race with Inkmoth. Land? Land. All right, that's a land. Urza Saga. Well, I mean, this is all we got. Inkmoth hit you to 9. Can we do it one more time? Can we win even though we literally cannot cast a spell the rest of this game? I mean, I guess we could Serum Powder, but that is not actually a spell. Well, it all comes down to this. Either this Inkmoth holds and we pick up a very unlikely win, or our opponent has a removal or a blocker and we die. I mean, we're playing with no fear because there's no point in doing anything else at this point. Opponent gonna hit us for 8. Yep. All that matters is this Ink Moth getting in. All that matters, we draw a face shield. I wish we had a way to cast that, but, well, all right. Ink Moth Nexus. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, they didn't have the answer. Our Leyline was bound. And so the lesson is no fear. No fear. No fear. If you're going to play this deck, you can't have fear. I think we actually need the Tamiyo Safekeepings. Tamiyo Safekeeping can protect our Leyline, and it actually protects from Beseiju. Escape Tunnel with no fetchable lands is the wildest. This deck is so something. I was going to say sweet, and it is sweet. It definitely is sweet. It is also absurd. All right, let's go down one Escape Tunnel. Let's run it like that. All right, here we go. Off to the races. Okay, we will keep. We get to start with a Leyline of the Guildpact. We also get to start with a Gemstone Cavern, which will exile Blighted Agent? Or do we need, maybe we just want to turn one the Blighted Agent. Do we go down the Urza Saga? Let's go, you know what? Let's go down the Scamp. Here we go, Forest for our opponent, and passes. Glistener Elf, Ink Moth Nexus, Glistener Elf, Blessing of the Nephilim. I mean, in theory, a pump spell wins us the game. In practice, it might not be that easy. Passing. Okay, they're going to tap down the Glistener Elf. Draw a card. We're going to play Urza Saga. Blighted Agent. I really wish the Blighted Agent had the Blessing on it, actually, come to think of it. Oh, that art's actually kind of cool. I don't know if I've ever looked at the art of Blessing. Oh, God. Force of Vigor to get the Urza Saga and the Leyline. Okay, yeah, that's bad. So we're back to the not being able to cast a spell for the rest of the game. Opponent gonna Island Cycle. Well, this is pretty much like last game where we push with all of our creatures and, oh geez. Yeah, so the difference is last game we actually got in one big hit and then we could close out with the Ink Moth. This game, our opponent got their interaction much sooner and it is going to make it very, very tough. So we get in for 2 Infect. Remember, we do not get to cast spells for the rest of this game. It is quite literally impossible because of our big brain brewing we got going on with this one. Opponent, Gemstone Caverns, Scion of Draco. So that blocks our Ink Moss. That's bad. Leyline. That would be sweet if we could cast it. I guess this Gemstone Caverns like kind of does something just because it does make colored mana. So it means we could theoretically like cast a pump spell. The problem is most of our pump spells require us to have land types. So we pretty much have to draw like Scale Up for it to actually do anything. Opponent hits us for 4. Passes. Scale Up? How about a Scale Up? Blessing of the Nephilim. Fire up the Ink Moth. I mean, no fear. Also no choice. Like, there's not really any reason to try to play around things because this is all we can do for the rest of the game. Pony is technically up to 6 Infect here. It is oddly not impossible that we somehow pull this out. What? Wait, are we 2 and we're 2-1? I cannot believe that we're winning matches with this deck. That game, our opponent even had the interaction. They blew up the Leyline and we still somehow managed to win. That should not happen with this deck. The math has changed. Now I want a treasure chest out of this deck. Well, I mean, we got to keep this, right? We can't not keep this. Do we keep 2 Leylines or 1? Probably 1. I think the lands are more valuable. All right, yeah, we'll keep 1 Leyline. Urza Saga. Glistener Elf. Well, come on, pump spells. And no removal from our opponents. If we get a treasure chest with this, I do not know what to say. We just need to win one of our last 2 rounds, and we actually have a winning record with this deck, which my mind is blown. No bolts. Oh dear. Cracks the Scalding Tarn. All right, there's the bolt. Can't really do anything about that. Well, we draw another Scamp. That's cute. Play the land, play a Scamp, and play even more Scamps. And hope we maybe draw some pumping. We do have these escape tunnels that can do things. Ooh, there's a scale. Wow, there's a Scale Up. Float a mana. We got the rule, which is no fear. We will take Civic Saber. I mean, we got to go for it, right? That's no fear. Those are the rules. On the Scamp. I think we actually put it on the other Scamp. Opponent counter spells. All right, well, I mean, we'll smack you a bit. Down to 10. Oh, wait. Sack this scamp. No proliferating. Hit you for 6. We will not sack this scamp. Play the escape tunnel. Equip the saber. And now if the scamp dies, our opponent dies. They could have bounce. If they have bounce, that would be a way they could get out of this. Zelfrin's Void. Well, go to combat. Attack you. You can't kill it. If you kill it, you die. Oh no. I thought we were going to do it. Well, I guess we keep the Urza Saga because it can make a couple bodies. We were so close. It had to be the Archmage's Charm, essentially. Opponent plays a land. Gets in for 2. We dropped to 18. Oh, they had the perfect answer. It had to literally be that Archmage's Charm. Well, we made that close. For our opponent having I don't know why our opponent sacked it, but sure. For our opponent having Lightning Bolt and Counterspell, we still came very close to winning through our opponent having multiple pieces of interaction. Well, opponent passes. We'll play an Urza Saga past the turn. And now we start making constructs and see if they get there. Opponent passes. We draw. Ooh, a Face Shield. Face Shield's actually kind of nice. So we'll pass the turn. Face Shield is big. That gives us some protection. I mean, we don't need to get in for much damage. Runs out a Subtlety. Nothing to target. Let our opponent untap. We could make the construct then when our opponent's tapped out because of Tishana's Tidebinder, but I think it's fine to wait. This Face Shield could steal. Okay, opponent passes. Well, we will make a construct. Untap, make a construct, grab the Cliffhaven Kite Sail, put it on our construct, go to combat, swing with the construct. We're not going to Face Shield to get through the Subtlety. Our opponent's a Izzet control deck. We need to leave it up for another Archmage's Charm removal. Opponent, a Tuara. Yeah, these channel lands are annoying. Okay. I mean, that works. Yeah, the channel lands are super annoying because we actually can't use Face Shield to protect against them. I feel like Tamiyo Safekeeping might just be better. I think Tamiyo Safekeeping is just better, right? Because it actually protects from the channel lands. Found it. I'm going to get in. Okay. Well, they must have a plan of some kind to not be dead here. Well, we will try to win the game. Equip the Saber. Attack with the Construct. Cracks. Down to 3. Grabs an island. Snapcaster Mage. Was this for Archmage's Charm? For Archmage's Charm. If they try to Archmage's Charm, we should be able to win. Face Shield? Pro Blue? Exaxes? It makes a Civic Saber fall off, but we still get in for 3. This deck. I can't believe this is actually working. The Tamiyo Safekeeping, if we think about this, target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible in the end of turn. You gain 2 life. So the upside of Safekeeping is it protects from Wraths, which doesn't really matter, but it protects from channel lands, which does really matter. The downside is if we had Tamiyo Safekeeping there, we wouldn't have won, right? Because they could have blocked with the Snapcaster. So there are upsides to Face Shield, but I do wonder if Safekeeping might be the better option. On the draw, Gemstone Caves coming in. We will trim, I guess, Scrylands and Escape Tunnel we have never used. I don't know if we'll ever actually use that. We'll go down a Might of Volcrosa. Civic Saber. Civic Saber in Modern. We'll go down a Might of Volcrosa for a safekeeping. What else? We got to go down one more of something. I don't think flying is actually super relevant. Let's go down the Kite Sail. We are actually 1 game win away from getting a treasure chest with the biggest brain Infect deck. I am blown away. I am absolutely shocked that this is actually working. I did not expect to win a match with this deck, honestly. We talked about that in the intro. Like, just looking at the deck and how risky this plan is, we have already exceeded my expectations. And if we somehow win one more game here and get a treasure chest out of this and a winning record, 2 serum powders, actually. All right, so that's a freebie. We will powder them away. Seems about right. We will start with a Leyline. Opponent starts with the tap land and passes. Now we will Ink Moth Nexus and Glistener Elf. Go. Opponent Steam Unstepped. Passes. Wow. I mean, we just go for the win, right? We have to. We will play an Ink Moth. Gaia's Might. And in response to your bolt, Might of Alara. Turn 2. Ha! 3-1! 3-1! 3-1! Winning record! We got a treasure chest! Wait, no, this deck is crushing people! This should not be happening! This should not be happening! And arguably, our loss in round 1, that was the game where in game 3 we didn't go for it because our opponent had mana up and we made the rule that we're always going to go for it. I think with the cards our opponent showed that game, we still would have lost. But ever since we made the promise that if we get a chance to go for it, we're going to go for it, we've won every single match. We now have a winning record with this deck. Even if we lose this last one, the winning record is locked in. I am never at a loss for words, and I'm at a loss for words. Just looking at this deck list, looking at this mana base, looking at the fact that without a Leyline, we do nothing. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is working, but it is. It's not just working, it's like really working. Like 3-1 working. Like turn 2 kills working. So this deck, I should say, where I found the deck, a player by the name of Medvedev, that's a tongue twister, Medvedev, played it in a Magic Online prelim event a little bit ago. That's where I got the deck list. That's why we're playing it. So shout out to them. And then like in the tweet thread, there was someone else who said, oh, this is my combo. I don't know who to give exact credit for all this. It's not the exact same list, although it's like very similar. But yes, that's where the origin story. Well, here we go. Can we close out with a 4-1? Honestly, the least believable 4-1. Well, okay. Oh, actually, do we even keep this? So we found Leylines, but this hand does not do anything. Yeah, I think actually this feels bad, but we're going to still mulligan. It's the first time we've mulliganed a Leyline hand, but that is a Leyline hand that just doesn't function. All right, we will keep 3 cards to the bottom. Civic Saber, Face Shield, the classic 4-carder. I mean, I guess we have to put a land to the bottom. Well, we do have a Leyline. Blooming Marsh. No, don't Thoughtseize. Stitcher's Supplier, okay. Stata-like Soccer, Souls of the Lost. Let's Selfrin's Void. Was wondering if we should play the Ink Moth, but I don't think we need to. All right, we'll put it on top. The problem's gonna be how do we get through our opponent's blockers here? Our opponent's stuff's gonna get big, presumably. And you know they want to block with the Stitcher's Supplier. That's the other thing. Like, blocking is actively good for our opponent here, right? Another Stitcher's Supplier. Insidious Roots, plays land, Carrion Feeder. All we can really do is the one thing our deck does, which is put our Might and Nephilim on things and attack and hope for the best. Well, playing Ink Moth, Blessing of the Nephilim. Is there any argument for waiting? Is there any argument for waiting and trying to go on this Ink Moth? The problem is we need 2 more lands. Because the Blessing's essentially a pump spell, so we need 4 total mana to fire this up. On the other hand, Scamp just gets blocked. You know what? Let's put the Blessing on it. So we could draw the Kite Sail. Cliffhaven Kite Sail would actually be our best draw here somehow. Go to combat. I mean, if our opponent, by some miracle, doesn't block here, we got him. I'm sure they block with Stitcher's Spire, though, right? There's no way you don't. Yeah, opponent, going to block. Gonna mill some cards. I guess a protection spell could also be good. There's a Bloodghast. Another Insidious Roots. Well, all right. So opponent takes 0. Oh no, the Face Shield's actually, Yeah, Face Shield's actually bad, right? Ooh, Insidious Roots. And a land and a plant. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, so I'm liking Face Shield less. Because remember, Face Shield's protection from all color, or from a color. All of our stuff is all colors. So that means if we Face Shield, the Blessing falls off. If we Face Shield, we can't target with Might of Alara. Okay, so I actually think, I become convinced that Face Shield is wrong in this deck. And it should be Tamiyo Safekeeping, I think. Or like, yeah, it's gotta be Tamiyo Safekeeping. Well, we get to see Insidious Roots going off. That's pretty sweet. We literally have to draw a Kite Sail. That is the card that could theoretically get us out of this. Urza's Saga. Well, play the Urza's Saga. So now I guess we have to play defense. All right, so our new plan is we need to live long enough that the Urza Saga can get the Kite Sail. Can we stay alive long enough to do that? Gravecrawler. Man, this Insidious Root's about to go off. Yeah, this is going to be very impressive. Yeah, opponent sacks and sacks. They have a zombie, so they can recast it. And a fetch land. Yes, Insidious Roots is popping off. I kind of want to play our opponent's deck. This looks sweet. I love me some carrion feeder sack action. I wonder, if I was this deck, I'd probably also be playing Goblin Bombardment. Goblin Bombardment, Insidious Roots, same setup. I don't know about, like, do you want the Statellite Stalkers and the Souls of the Lost? Like, do we even want those big creatures? This is ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this before, the old Gravecrawler combos, but our opponent can keep recasting it for 1 mana every time it's triggering Insidious Roots to not only make a plant, but grow a plant. And there is 0% chance, do we even survive this turn without having to chump block? Because if we have to chump block and we lose our Scamp, then none of this matters anyway. Opponent goes to combat. Opponent. 7, 13, so we're just dead. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can block with the Ink Moth, but it really doesn't. Yeah, going down a land means we can't win, even if we draw the silly flying. Well, actually, no. We have to draw the silly flying equipment this turn. We're not going to live until Urza Saga happens. That's clear. So we just literally have to draw exactly that 1 out of 53. If we draw it, we steal the win. Otherwise, we're dead. How lucky are we? Not lucky enough. All right. Yeah. All right, opponent. All right. We don't really have much that interacts with what our opponent's doing, but they don't seem to have much to interact with us except blockers. Yeah, you know what? I think we just literally run it back. All right. I mean, can we finish with a 4-1? I mean, even this 3-2, let's say we lose this last game, even that is mind-blowing that this could work. A winning record with a deck where you literally cannot cast a spell if you don't have Leyline of the Guildpact is not something I expected to be even a possibility. No Leyline, no lands. Oh, okay, we get a Serum Powder. No Leyline, but this is not a bad hand to Serum Powder away. Glistener Elf back, I guess? Yeah, I don't know about this Face Shield. Protection is risky in this deck. Yeah, let's put Glistener Elf back. Serum Powder the rest. We're at 6. Unfortunately, one of our cards is a Serum Powder, so it's kind of 5. We have a Scamp and a Blessing of the Nephilim, and a Face Shield that's bad with Blessing of the Nephilim. You know what? We're going to powder this. I don't think this is good enough, even though we have the Leyline. A little bit scary that our 1 land is Urza Saga, but this hand is pretty excellent. Glistener Elf, go. And we have our Kite Sail to send our Glistener Elf to the air. We really would like to draw another land. Like, really. Oh, all right. Well, now we have to draw another land, like now-ish. Magic Gods? Oh, Face Shield. Okay, the dream might be dying. Well, the dream has already been lived, so the dream's not even dying, but this match's dream might be dying. Stitcher Supplier to mill some cards. Yeah, we might have to try building our opponent's deck. Insidious Roots looks sweet. I wonder, maybe it's better in Timeless. Maybe it's a Timeless deck. Land. It's got to be a land. Got to be. Okay, so we do hit a land. So we had to float a mana, get our Civic Saber, play Zalfrin's Void to scry for another land. Might have a Lara. It's got to go bottom. Land is way more important. Well, play the Blighted Agent, hope it lives. Oh, we even have a Face Shield in hand. We need this Blighted Agent to live for a turn. Found it. Marsh Flats. Oh, Bowmaster. And we don't have mana. This Urza Saga kinda wrecked us. Stitcher Supplier. Now I don't even know what wins us this game. I guess I'm drawing a creature of some kind, but even that, not a guarantee by any stretch. Plus the Statellite Stalker is more removal. All right, we draw an Ink Moth, which is sort of like a creature. The problem with Ink Moth is it costs essentially 2 mana to turn it into a creature, which means we can't really throw pump spells on it. Like if we somehow end up at 4 or 5 mana, then we could one-shot with Ink Moth, but we need this to fire it up. This has to tap. 1 for Civic Saber, 1 for Gaia's Might, and then honestly probably 1 for Face Shield. And we're at 10. Scale up. Yeah, there's mathematically no way we can win now. Let's fire up the Ink Moth. We're gonna go out. We promise, no fear. No fear, and we live by the rule of no fear ever since round 1. And it's worked out for us. We're not gonna win this one, but we can't complain. We can't even complain a little. We went 3-2 with a deck where you can't cast your spells. Like, that by itself is miraculous. Opponent, gonna kill the Ink Moth. Yeah. All right. You got it, opponent. You got it. Well, sure, we lost that last round, but we got a winning record. We finished with a 3-2. Where's our treasure chest? Where's our treasure chest, Magic Online? Hey, there we go. We get our play points back and we get a treasure chest, which we're about to crack open and hopefully open a Leyline to the Guildpact since it's apparently a very expensive card now. All right, one treasure chest. It could be anything. It could even be a Leyline of the Guildpact. Or Omer. Okay, not very good. Tolsimar, the old one, not very good. Terror of the Peaks is playable, but I don't think it has any value because it's not in any popular decks. But it is a good card that has uses. Heading into this, you saw the deck tag. Heading into this, I was hoping we'd win a game. Was not expecting to win a match. Well, it turns out in a league, 5 matches, we won 3 matches. We went 3-2. We have a winning record with a deck that can literally not cast a spell without Leyline. And I think we got the full experience, right? We got to see games where we literally won on turn 2 because Leyline Infect creature double pump spell got them. We also saw games where our opponent besieged our Leyline on turn 2 and we just couldn't play a spell for the rest of the game and scooped it up. That's how this deck is going to work. I will say, as far as feedback on the deck, there's a couple of pieces. So I like the idea of this deck, and it obviously worked way better than I thought. I will say, I'm not convinced it's necessary to play this mana base. Like, the mana base is what drew me to the deck, the memishness of it. But from a competitive perspective, we could just play some fetches in real lands and still mulligan like we do for Leyline. But then if we don't have a Leyline, I mean, a fetch for a trio means at least our pump spells do something. At least we might be able to cast a card. So I'm not sure we have to play the completely colorless mana base. We never sacked Escape Tunnel. The scrying is nice from like Zalfrin's Void or whatever. Urza's Saga was good in some games, and then game ending for us and others where it was like our only land and we had to sack it. Inkmoth is good, of course. So that's one possibility. The other thing that I think I might change, and we went back and forth on this throughout the whole league, is Face Shield. I kind of feel like Face Shield, it does have upsides, right? Like the protection letting you attack through blockers is an upside, but the more I play the deck and the more I think about the deck, I think Tamiyo Safekeeping is probably just better. So the important thing is we want our protection spell to not just protect creatures, but also protect Leyline. Face Shield can do that. Tamiyo Safekeeping can do that. The upside to Safekeeping is it stops channel lands and wrath effects when Face Shield only really starts targeted removal. The upside of Face Shield, like we said, is you can use it to get through a blocker. The problem is Leyline turns all of our stuff into all colors. So Face Shield, yes, it can let us get through a blocker, but it also is going to knock our Blessing of Nephilim off the creature. It's going to knock our Civic Saber off the creature. It's going to prevent us from being able to target it with pump spells, although we can pump spell first and then play the protection spell. So I think overall, when you add all that together, I would probably go 4 Safekeepings in the main deck and then like 2 Face Shields in the sideboard. I think Safekeeping is just the safer option for this deck. But anyway, that is the biggest Brain Infect deck that I've ever seen. And I'm still absolutely floored that this worked. I thought there was no chance. I thought we were playing the most against the odds deck, not going to win a game with it. Turns out it actually kind of worked, and that's pretty scary because this is definitely a super big brain version, a slightly less big brain version. This still has those explosive turn 2 kills, but maybe can still like win some small percentage of the time if Leyline doesn't show up or if it gets blown up. That might actually be a pretty scary deck. So anyway, that's the biggest Brain Infect deck with Leyline of the Guildpact, 4 modern. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this absolute absurdity, and I will talk to you soon.